Well, good morning, my brothers and sisters. Welcome to episode 89 of Be With Me. We're following Jesus through a chronological walk through his life. He's set up shop in Capernaum, a town which he's going to use as his headquarters for his Galilean area ministry. And we're going to look at a passage in Mark chapter 1 today. Mark chapter 1:21. Let me read just a couple of verses. Because, of course, I get charmed and get stuck on verses, and that's the charm of the Bible. Verse 21, and they went to Capernaum, and immediately on the Sabbath he entered the synagogue and was teaching. And they were astonished at his teaching, for he taught them as one who had authority, and not as the scribes. So just setting the stage, in Capernaum, you can go there today. The temple is still there. You can walk where Jesus walked. You can go to like the exact spot. It's rare that you can actually go to the exact spot that Jesus went to, but this is one of the places where you're sure that Jesus was in Capernaum. It says so. We're sure that this was the temple, and we're sure that Jesus was there because this passage says so. So it's kind of fun. So he's there, and he's in the Sabbath. It's on the Sabbath. He entered the synagogue and was teaching. So this reminds us, of course, when he was in Nazareth, with Nazareth, which is a story we just talked about, where Jesus goes to the temple. He unrolls the scroll of the prophet Isaiah, gives the scroll back and says, today this scripture has been fulfilled in your hearing. He basically says this scripture is about me, and they marveled similarly, and then a few minutes later they tried to throw him off a cliff because he said the Syrians and the Lebanese are included in the kingdom, and they just didn't want to hear that. But the event was very similar, where he goes to the temple, he reads the scripture, and then interprets it with authority. That's the big thing here today. And the people, of course, marveled because it was different. So my big question today is, what does it mean to have authority as you read the scriptures? So like when I was telling you the story, or I'm telling you the story of these New Testament stories, or let's say the story of Jesus going to Nazareth, I am telling you it secondhand. I wasn't there. I didn't go there. I wasn't involved in the story, so I'm reading the story. I'm using the facts from the story. Sometimes I do a little speculation and maybe a paraphrase, and I tell you when I'm doing that, and I don't make any excuse for that, because God certainly wants men and women to help explain the word to others. And I try to do it faithfully, and I try to do it accurately, and sometimes I try to do it entertainingly, when I make up words like entertainingly. So that's all fine. But my point is, I was not there when Jesus went to Nazareth and put the Syrians and the Lebanese in their face and they tried to kill him. It's secondhand. But Jesus was. Similarly, through every other page of the Bible, Jesus was there. So when Jesus was reading the Old Testament, when he was reading Isaiah in this passage I'm mentioning, he basically saying, hey, that's about me. And so I was impressed, which sounds ridiculous, of course. I've been impressed as we've been starting the Gospels here about Jesus's facility with the Old Testament, like when he was wrestling with Satan and throwing scriptures back and forth. And what he's really saying is, he's not having facility with the scriptures as if he's using them from memory. He didn't memorize the scriptures of David's words like Psalm 23. He didn't memorize those words like I had to, or my children had to. We taught them Psalm 23. He was there. He gave the words to David so that David could write. He inspired those words. He indwelt those words and gave them to David in the first place. And then the second thing is, he was there for all the big events of the Bible. Jesus was there. Let's say creation. He didn't have to read a book about creation or read somewhere about. He was there. He was the creator. He was involved intimately with that. Or maybe when Jacob wrestled with the Lord in Genesis chapter 32, Jesus is the one, as part of the Godhead, who's got dirt on his knees. Or when Moses spoke to Pharaoh and gave him, sent 10 plagues, he was there doing that. Or when he gave blessing and curses to Joshua in Deuteronomy 28, he's the one that he's speaking those words. He's also giving the words to the person that writes those down, or in the book of Joshua, he's giving the words to Joshua to write them down. When the pagan kings were being defeated in Joshua 13, he was the one that was stomping on them. When the Philistines, and even bad news things, when the Philistines captured the ark, he was present in the ark, and he also inspired Samuel to write these things down. So my point is that God is an eyewitness, a participant. He's the main character. And of course, that's what gives him authority. So back to Psalm 23, the Lord is my shepherd. Those aren't David's words. Those are the Lord's words. So no wonder the people reacted like, oh my goodness, you're different. You're teaching this differently. Why? Because you have authority. No kidding, he has authority. He's the author of the words in the first place. So when he says, here's what it means, we need to pay attention to that. So similarly, today, we can be astonished, just like they were, as Jesus refers to the Old Testament. And guess what? The same principle is in the New Testament, that he authored it. He's the primary author of the New Testament, even though the words may have come through Paul or Luke or some of the other writers. But he's the primary author of every word of the Bible. Jesus and the Godhead is the primary author of everything. So no wonder they reacted with great humility and say, hey, you're the author because you wrote the whole Bible and you were there. Thanks for listening. I'll see you tomorrow.